And as always, we're going to be looking for accurate context, good risk management, and always exercising good patience.
Everybody who's traded has gone through periods of time where their strategy hasn't worked.
Where if not a hard stop, you should reevaluate the trades you're in based on time.
That's what we're here for, is to put ourselves in the best success. A trading routine does that, builds that habit, lets you know what to work on, what to reflect on, and what to improve on the next day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Coach's Playbook. My arm got caught by the headphones there. It's a new year. It's a new year of trading. I'm excited. Today, our topic is along those lines. We've all been off for a while, I think, and it's important. Oh, one note, too. I have a child eating in the other room right now, so you might hear a little noise there. It's a family activity. So today, we're going to be talking about how to kick off your year right, how to set your goals, things along those lines. But first, I'd like to welcome our common guests, Mick, Dan, and Hogue. Dan, how was your break? Where's your mindset?
Break was good. It was very long. Did a lot of traveling around. So today it's just a matter of kind of firing up the computer. Perfect start to my new year. I have two computers I work off of every day, and neither of them wanted to work this morning. I spent 45 minutes getting them to turn on.
New Year IT problems, yeah.
Yeah, so par for the course for the first day of the year, but not big expectations to start the year on day one real strong.
It sounds like you're having Y2K issues 23 years later.
Right?
You guys
The
remember
gremlins that Hogue always talks about.
I do. I was only 13 years old, but I had more dried beans than I knew what to do with. Still around.
Plastic wrap and duct tape. My mom stocked the house with.
Yeah, well, luckily that didn't happen yet. Mick, speaking of starting the year strong, heard perhaps you have a trader shout out for us today.
I do. Really excited about this one. Chun Yi Shen, up a little over $10,000 today, about 10,500 trading the NASDAQ. So that's a really great start to the new year. So shout out to you.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations. And Hogue, always great to see you back. Good holidays.
Yeah, very quiet. Not a lot of traveling. Had to kind of push myself to kind of stay away from the markets to relax a little bit. I did not have the gremlins this morning. I just turned everything on last night, and I actually did have to restart one of my computers last night, but we're all ready for this morning. We got Make Hogue Money today. We made some money. Group coaching starts again tomorrow, so right back into it. But I always feel like I have a fresh start. You know, it's the beginning of a new year. It's like a new beginning.
Well, that's really good stuff. And I think, Hogue, since you did the forecast this morning and are back, I was thinking we could maybe start with you today about kind of how you restart the year, anything you do differently than, say, restarting a month or a week or things like that, and kind of what your mindset is like going into that.
Well, I do think it's a little bit different than taking a week off in the middle of the year. I took a look and, I do everything on pen and paper. So just kind of
saw the Instagram post.
Yeah, you saw that, right? So I just kind of reviewed everything and kind of thumbed through what was going on through the year and how my process changed through last year. Took a look at, what worked better in my process, what didn't work, what changes I'm looking to make in my process this year, anything I want to add or take away that is helpful or not helpful. And just sat down this morning fresh and just kind of slowly getting myself back into it. I said, we had a couple of good trades and Make Hogue Money this morning. That's always good. And just kind of getting myself back in the process of trading.
Just as a quick follow-up, you did a year basically of Make Hogue Money now, taking live trades. And when you look back at your process, what do you think sort of worked and what do you are getting rid of sort of for this year? Maybe nothing, but
No, I mean, as far as make Hogue money, we're always asking for feedback as to, what we can think, what we can do better. I had to set up new links for it for this year, and I forgot to create the polling questions. So today's questions were, all right, if we like this trade, say yes. If we don't, say no. So we're going to get back into that process of having a more efficient way to vote on the trades, but it pretty much went the same way as it went last year, and we're off to a good start. So I'm glad about that.
Great. Mick, I see you're in the board of trade right now.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's the vibe over there? And from your past experience in the trading industry, what would you do at the beginning of the year?
So your first question, the vibe over here. I have a little company today. Our new hire, our junior risk manager, Brett, is sitting over here to my left. I know he's watching. I told him to tune in and watch us for this segment. Want to get him, a feel for all the things that we offer, whether it be part of his role or outside of his role. The theme this morning, or the feel in the building, I took a cab over to the office this morning because it was raining. Normally it would be a pretty short walk. We've got a ton of fog outside at the moment. So we were just talking about how you can't really even see more than across the street from where we're at up on the on one of the high floors. As far as what to do, beginning of the year, I really like what Hogue said, just take it slow. You should really have, at the end of last year or at the beginning of this year, really take a lot of time to reflect on what happened the previous year. So I like the reflection. I like taking things slow. I don't like rushing into the new year. That's me personally. Other people might say, hey, I've already done my reflection. I'm getting ready to just dive into these markets and see what happens. But, there's a big transition from end of the year and large participants doing the business that they need to do at the end of the year, and then new year, new business. And, instead of unwinding things at the end of the year, some big players could be winding into things for the beginning of the year. I like taking it slow. I also, from a top-down approach, as far as what the markets are doing, great time to go back and look at monthly charts, weekly charts, give yourself a picture of what happened over the last year. Our last segment for 2022, we were talking about predictions from the prior year. Like, that's kind of fun. Look at stuff where these markets have come from, where they ended up, and then think about where they may be going potentially this year. As far as where markets are going, I think this is a really good time of the year to not pay much attention to headlines that you may be seeing. Beginning of the year is a great time for people who are on the news side of the business to write their predictions of what they think is going to happen to the stock market and whatnot. I've already seen a ton of articles just this morning when I, woke up early this morning and got my cup of coffee at home, seeing what people were saying. Oh, we're 2023, we're in for a big sell-off. We're going to make new highs, all this and that and the other. And, that's their job, to write articles,
which you should always take with a grain of salt, especially these independent hedge fund guys, because it's not in their best interest to necessarily, if they say buy, they might need people to sell it to, right? It's a cat and mouse game there, so be careful.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. That I couldn't have said it better myself, Jack. So something to be in mind, take things with a grain of salt. You don't want to start off a new year formulating a bias that somebody else wrote about. Formulate your own biases, listen to smart people out there, but really take it slow, ease into it a little bit. There's a lot of trading sessions ahead of us for 2023.
Yeah, I'll head over to Dan, but let's get things specific right now to start. Here's the context right now. 2022 is the worst year in the equity markets since 2008. Right, we were down 20% or so on the year. Still a lot of uncertainty there. And there was also, given the run up in the previous 4 or 5 years before that, there was a huge amount of tax loss harvesting in December, which brings me to the two reasons I think it's important to stay small, ease your way into things this first week. Is there's a lot of positioning to be done right now by big market participants. That's number one. And number two is psychological. You can't afford the one thing. When I would get in the office the first week of January, the one thing I did not want to do was blow out my full puke limit in the first week at some point. I cut my daily loss limit in half, right? Just because being in a hole is no way to start the new year. And I think that with all the positioning going on, things might be a little wonky for the first week. So give yourself some room to sustain your account. And then I was going to kick it over to Dan with sort of the idea of goal setting and whether you did that and how you did that when you were trading starting a new year.
Yeah, well, Jack, number one, you just took exactly what I wanted to talk about, tax loss harvesting in December. I mean, everyone should have taken advantage of something there. That's what's going on. When they're down, their positions are down, there's great opportunity to help your taxes come the new year. Now, we're not tax professionals. Obviously, speak with your tax professional on what's best for you in your situation. But there was a lot of that going on in December. Now, for me, when it comes to goal setting, first and foremost, you should already have that already planned out. To me, that's something you have done in December. I think a lot of traders out there, they really do take that time between Christmas and New Year's off. They get a lot of planning done. Then they're doing a lot of look backs throughout the month of December, because really once Thanksgiving hits, that's when really most traders like to slow down. They're not looking to go into the holidays after taking big losses. So you want to start that plan, really start looking where you want to be come Thanksgiving, come November timeframe. Where do you want to be as a trader? The first thing I'm going to say, trading is not like a standard business. I know we say all the time, treat it like a business, but most businesses out there, they want to see annual growth. They have expectations. They have projections on how they're going to get there. We can definitely do that as traders, but you need to manage your expectations. If the previous year was the best year you've ever had and you saw massive growth, you should not ever come into a trading year thinking I'm going to replicate that. How many traders out there do we know that have started their career off really strong? They go into downtrends, or maybe they have a couple rough 2, 3, 4, 5 years before they get back to that rhythm that they were at before. Market states change year over year. Things are different. Strategies change. So you need to be thinking about that. That's going to be part of your goals. And I will say this, I think the key here is think about the necessity that you need from trading. I know a lot of retail traders out there, this is not 100% their entire income. They have other sources of income. So think about what you really, really need from your retail trading. Kind of break that down a little bit. Simplify things. Don't look at it and say, I need to make $100,000 this year. What do I have to do day in and day out to achieve that $100,000? When you put the big ticket up there, you got to look at it and go, that's what I need to get. You're going to be rushing to start the year. And you're going to potentially hurt yourself. Now, not to say you can't get there pretty quickly. This is trading. It is very opportunistic if you're on the right side. John, every so often we got enough size on the right side of the move, as opposed to being, what is the line? Too many on when it's going against and not enough on when it's in your favor.
When it's going our way, right?
Right.
That
Sometimes
tends
you're
to
the
happen.
opposite there, but really you want to think through and manage those expectations. What do I want to get out of trading? I do believe you need some sort of financial goal. I don't think anyone's here just to not make money. But you want to do that in a smart, responsible way. And then it comes down to, how am I going to execute my strategy? I think ahead of time, annually ahead of, like, where am I not trading? Don't get to 4th of July, July 1st and go, I don't know if I'm going to trade the 4th of July weekend or not. No, have that planned already. I can tell you right now, I will not be looking at the markets the week of 4th of July. I'm not going to look at them the week of Thanksgiving, Memorial Day, Labor Day, and the Christmas, New Year's holidays. I don't look at them. That's a simple rule for me. So start really looking at your year ahead, and that's going to help you kind of project where you want to be. And I think a lot of times what you'll find out is those, weekly, monthly, daily goals that you're going to look for, you're going to be a lot more attainable than without planning. Typically, without planning, you want to see those big 4 or 5 figure days all the time. But if you start planning, you can see that you can achieve that growth. Very simple.
And it may be
keeping things smaller.
Maybe different for everyone, but I would set goals loosely. So if I had a decent year the year before, I'd maybe say, okay, can I do 15, 20% better this year? Okay. So once I get that number, I divide it by 10 or 11. because to get into the monthly. Now there's 12 months in a year, but this goes back to what Dan said, is that if I'm looking for what I'm trying to make each month, I would close my book down in the early part of September. Not September, that'd be awesome. But December is the month I was looking for. That's not going to be a full month. There's
Especially
holidays
with
along the way.
holidays and
Right. And also, there's probably going to be at least a few things, especially this year, that are going to make markets untradeable. Let's just be honest, for some number of days. And then from that, I would back into, okay, so roughly this is what I'm looking at of like a goal for a standard month. I don't push too hard to hit it. I don't hit it and then stop. But the idea I get from that is, okay, so given that this is how much I want to make in a month, the real question I'm taking from that is, what size do I need to trade in my current strategy to get somewhere around that? So just calibrating things that way, and don't be realistic with the goals. I think we've hit on this a little bit. I know there is this drive, this incentive to be maybe okay. And I think about it too, that I'm going to double what I made last year. I'm going to triple, I'm going to 10x it. Well, maybe that will happen, but that's not something you can commit of on January 3rd in this case and keep that as a reasonable goal, because unrealistic goals are going to hurt you psychologically. Mick?
Couldn't agree more. I just wanted to say, it's good to have these goals and stuff in regards to your return on the year, and you should base it off, previous year potentially, and, expect a smaller amount of return. But keep in mind while you're thinking about this, and I bring it up because I hear a lot of traders say, I want to average $1,000 a day. Those traders that I hear from that are saying that, in many cases, they're the ones that are losing $1,000 a day and never making that much. Be careful trying to hit a certain profit target for the day, for the week. Your profits are going to be byproduct. The profits you generate will be a byproduct of good trades. So if you have a consistently profitable strategy, take a little sample data, say to yourself, okay, I've been making X on average per day, trading X amount of contracts. If I am consistently profitable, then I should be able to scale that position sizing up, which means if I maintain the same performance that I was doing with 2 contracts, with now 4 contracts, I could potentially assume that my profit on my winning days is going to be, maybe 2 times as much. But all about realistic expectations.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah, please go ahead.
You do have like financial goals, daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, yearly goals. I think it's really important to say, okay, that's close enough. Because I've had some really good days and some really good periods of time ruined because I demanded that I reached a specific goal. It was close, but I didn't feel successful unless I actually reached it. And that has provided some really bad outcomes in the past. So no one to say, well, that's close enough. If I'm looking for 40 ticks, I'm 38 ticks there. That's close enough. I'm going to take it.
That's why I think it's so important when you look at your overall, it's like, what do I actually need to see returns out of this? Because I think we have to play that, think about that as we trade. If we're not seeing the returns from our trading that we require to move forward in life, maybe, if we're annual loss over loss over loss, every year me trading is costing me money because I'm not making enough to cover my overhead. And maybe I have my overhead as lean as I possibly can. That may be that sign of, okay, for the last 4 years, I've not met my overhead number. Now I need to think about other opportunities. I can continue to trade, but I need to bring in a new source of income, or maybe I need to step away from trading and focus elsewhere, something that is returning bigger returns. That's why you want to keep, in my opinion, keeping those goals as simple as possible, just to cover yourself. And then everything on top of that, that's when it becomes gravy. And that's where I like to have fun.
Yeah. And honestly, this might be one of the first years in a while where even just losing a little bit of money on the year was preferable to having your money in the market, which hopefully will not be the case this year. I think that the bane of my existence as a trader would be these have to be sort of fluid too, is that if you're going to set something like a yearly goal, you got to adjust that to what the actual performance comes in at, because things will change. You don't want to end up in June, say in June, you're at 25% of your goal halfway through the year. You just have to be happy with continuing on writing that off, because if you just start doubling down to try and now do essentially a whole year in the last 6 months, that's a trap. You don't want to be part of that. So be careful with how you do that. And I think that overly optimistic goals are super, super common in everything.
And detrimental, in my opinion.
Absolutely, because it just puts you completely in the wrong headspace to just execute your strategy, which on the day-to-day, I'm not a huge fan of like the daily goals. As I said, I just want a vague idea of the size I need to trade to do it. During the day, just execute your strategy. Don't even care about the P&L. Obviously, make sure you don't go through your limit or something like that. But most of the traders I knew in the office would close their P&L monitors because you just want to focus on executing your strategy in the most true way possible.
I keep a sticky note over it. I don't want to see that. I know where I'm at, close enough. I know where I'm getting in these positions, and I know where I'm at, and I know, okay, I got to look at this to tell me if I'm wrong and just get a doubt, or hey, I'm doing really well. I'm going to continue to trade the way I've been trading.
Especially if you're up money. I get when you're down money, it becomes more important to have a good idea of where your P&L is. And if you're trading larger positions too, there could be slippage and stuff where you might be closer than you think to your puke limit. But if you're up money, I guarantee you just shutting down the P&L monitor is a easier way to hold winners rather than the just sinking feeling of seeing a high P&L mark and then not getting out, and then just like getting out of it real quick because you're like, oh man, I could have had that. Just don't look at your P&L if you're up. Just do the trades.
To what you're saying, Jack, I'm sure the three of you have been in this situation before too, but like I remember when I was, a younger, getting started in the trading, find yourself up $750 on the day. You're like, oh, let's hope this makes it to an even 1,000. And, then it comes close to it. And then, a nice winning day eventually, gets wiped out, and you're down $750 in a day just because you were like, I want to hit that big round number. And that's trading your P&L and not trading what you see in the markets, and not managing your money, making sure you cut it off after you've given back half of your, profits on the day, and walking away up, $400 something. So I just had to throw that out there because I see that a lot. It's
like that first loser brings you down to like up 650. You're like, you know what? I just got to get back to where I was.
Just going to get that back.
It's like, forget the 1,000. Now I got to get back to 750. Now you're down. Now you're up only 500. And it's just that slow churn. You're like, and the whole time you're thinking, I should have just been done at 750. And instead of stopping at 500, you just keep pushing. And now you're up 200. And now you're down 200. And it spirals.
Can't stop now.
Yep.
Yeah, you turn it into, you turn a good trading day into a psychological thriller of sorts, or slasher film.
God, I've done that so many times. It's so aggravating.
Yeah.
I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Right. After a while, you just need to stop replicating, things that are detrimental to you. It's part of growing as a trader.
The only P&L level that should influence the way you trade is your loss limit. Besides that, after every trade, your P&Ls might as well be zero. Take the trade if you think it's good, if it meets all your criteria, take it. If it doesn't, and you just feel like you want to squeeze $100 out for any reason, that's not a good reason to do it. So, Hogue, we got a few more minutes here. Do you have any changes or goals in your trading when we're looking at Make Hogue Money and stuff like that you're kind of setting for goals this year?
Well, for Make Hogue Money, it's, kind of up to the ideas and the trade ideas of the participants, there's some input that I do add to it, but I try and keep my hands off just a little bit on that so that we can, see what the trade ideas of the people that are providing ideas. Everybody kind of cooperates, and they're voting and they're discussing things on the chat, and always thinking about ways to improve that. And, you know, as we move on, I think we've done a pretty good job of improving that. But as far as my personal trading is concerned, there's certain situations, and they're not even necessarily market situations, they're internal situations that I've been noticing over the years, and I still have a tendency to jump into those situations, even though I've seen over and over again that they stop us. So, personally, I'm going to be using the what is it? The trends, if you will, the internal trends, to recognize when I'm about to do something that I've proven over and over is usually going to be wrong. I mean, nothing's going to be wrong every time, right? So you get these chances to take trades that over time are not beneficial, and you do one, and then you get paid for it, and then you end up kind of reinforcing that bad behavior. So I think, my goal is to recognize those patterns internally and be able to stay out. Even if I tell people quite often, if you have a tendency to get into trades impulsively, push it through a conscious thought instead of just hitting the mouse and getting into the trade. Take 1 second and ask yourself, is this in my best interest? And if you're getting in impulsively, you're going to recognize, what, I've done this a million times. This time I'm not actually going to do it, because I know that most of the time it never works. I mean, we all take trades where we click in and we go, oh man, you know what? I always do this and it never works. Either it doesn't work, or it creates a whole bunch of heat, and I don't want to take that heat. Think about doing that before you take the trade. So as many times as I've suggested that traders take that 1 second and say, okay, is this in my best interest? So to push that impulse into conscious thought before making that decision to take that trade, I need to do that more. That's one of my goals, and it's an internal. It's not necessarily a strategy goal, but it's a process goal. And I think the process goals over time are going to prove to be probably the more important than any strategy goals or changes that I'm making, because my strategies don't change that much. My strategies are directly related to the current market state, what's going on in the marketplace. So it's a matter of keeping myself from taking the impulsive traders. And I think that's where my best efforts to improve my trading are going to be this year.
Awesome summary right there. Well, new year, I'm hoping new quote. Dan, what do you got for us?
I got a good one. It's from Abraham Lincoln. I like this. I'm a slow walker, but I never walk back.
No, that's
I think
great.
that's a pretty great way to start your year. Start slow. Don't take steps backwards. Continue to grow. Continue to move forward. 1 step, 2 steps forward, 1 step back at a time.
Baby
steps. Nice one, Dan.
Hell of an NQ trader, that guy. All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. We're back now on our normal schedule. Hope to see you around. Hope you have a great year trading. And Hogue, why don't you sign us off?
All right. It's a new year. It's a new you. It's a new market. It's a new account, whatever it is. Let's make the most of it this year. Do the right things. Looking forward to your success. Have a great day.
See you later.